We've been talking on WhatsApp since I met you in Singapore, which was lovely. You and your daughter talking 2049 was probably the best conference I've seen so far. So thank you for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
It was an amazing conference. It was beautiful meeting you there, and we had some couple of beautiful days, like 3 days in a row. A lot of events and parties and everything else.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today we have a fantastic guest, Dutch entrepreneur, traveler, writer, public speaker, Didi. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing. I'm at the moment currently in Phuket, Thailand, enjoying life to the fullest. Of course, creating videos every day and zooming out in Bitcoin and zooming in at life, as we say it every time on my channel.
Let's jump into it. So in 2017, you sold everything and you've gone bankless, full Bitcoin. This is incredible. I have so many questions for you, but I mean, how did you find Bitcoin in the first place?
I found Bitcoin already in 2013, so I think it's now almost my 11th year. I started mining Bitcoins in 2013. I had this huge company that was my own, and I had this schooler coming to my company, and they need to do like some kind of a practical, and he was talking about Bitcoin. He's like, "Can I build a Bitcoin miner?" I also had a computer store, I had a training center, and so I told him, "Yeah, build me a Bitcoin miner, and let's see what it is." And then I started to educate myself about Bitcoin, what it is, and then I understood very quickly, wow. This is really a peaceful revolution. This is really changing the completely monetary system if it would become a success. But then he built this Bitcoin miner. In that moment, I think it was still 50 Bitcoins every block that were being mined. So it took 1 or 2 weeks and we hit a block and we were like, wow, that's a lot of Bitcoins. If I build more of these miners, do I mine more Bitcoins? And he's like, yes. That's how I started mining Bitcoin in 2013. Of course, I started to invest in Bitcoin miners, and it exploded the price from around $80. We went all the way to $1,200. And then at $1,200, I thought, yeah, wow, this is going to go like really be an success, of course. And then we crashed down back to $200. From that moment, I started to mine Dogecoin. So I started to rebuild the miners into Dogecoin miners, and made my millions of Dogecoins. Yeah, and that was the complete beginning of Bitcoin. And then because of some personal events happening in my life, I just stopped paying attention to my company, to Bitcoin mining, because my father got sick. And a long story. And in 2016, after my father died, I started to travel again because I need to have a mental, physical reset. I had a huge burnout because of the funeral and all the arrangements I need to do because my father died, and the inheritance and a huge show. So from that moment, I needed to reset. I started to travel, and during those travels, people start to remind me, "Hey, Didi, Bitcoin is going up. Do you still own your Bitcoins from the mining?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but like, is it going up? Like really going up?" And I started to go into the communities again. I saw the communities growing. I saw everything exploding. That's when I proposed to my wife, let's fly home to the Netherlands, sell the house, go all into Bitcoin, sell everything else that we own, the cars, the motorbikes, the kids' toys, the clothes, whatever we have, whatever we own, let's sell everything because we love this minimalistic lifestyle, traveling all over the world, not owning all that materialistic stuff, and then just go all into Bitcoin, support that peaceful revolution, and take the power away from that 1% rich people that are like controlling our lives. And for me, that's still a peaceful evolution. That's why we went all in 2017. And then, now we are almost 7 years later, traveling around the world, 42 countries, and as a family, unbanked.
Wow, what a story. I mean, what was the biggest challenge in going bankless? Because I mean, besides the fact that there are some practical issues, I guess, on a daily basis, but is there any major issue on going bankless?
At that moment, it wasn't a major issue because at that moment, the banks weren't that smart yet and they were not asking questions. So at that moment, you could just take all the money that was on your bank and just buy Bitcoin. There was no questions asked whatsoever because it was not like a big thing yet. It became a big thing like 2 years or 3 years ago, when all the regulations and the KYC shit started to happen. That's when the banks started to ask people, hey, where does the money come from? Why are you investing in Bitcoin? You're not allowed to invest in this. Which of course is exactly the reason why we were investing in Bitcoin. But so the biggest struggle at that moment probably was the schooling system in the Netherlands. We were not allowed to travel as a family. We were supposed to do the normal stuff that all the families do. So you need to send your children into schools to be brainwashed into the oil of the massive machine called the Netherlands. And we didn't want that anymore. We didn't want our kids to be brainwashed in schools into the next oil for the machine in the Netherlands. We wanted to have free thinking kids that live the freedom lifestyle. So that was the biggest issue The rest, all the Bitcoin stuff, easy peasy, all in with just a push in the button, and all your money is in Bitcoin. But the schooling system, yeah, I needed to go into court. Because we took the kids for traveling, and when we came back to sell the house, we needed to go into court. I was sentenced. I got like 2 year probation. If I would do it again, I would get prison sentence. Blah blah blah. So that was the biggest issue. So we deregistered from the Netherlands, and we started to become non-residents traveling the world.
Society itself finds ways to ground you. And if you think about it, the schooling system, the bank, the loans, the mortgages, everything's kind of your job, everything's kind of designed for you to stay and to be milked or to be taxed on. And as soon as you start traveling, you kind of free yourself from all these crazy stuff that everything is being kind of designed around you. I mean, I'm sure you relate. I've gone through so many problems when it comes to, or actually opportunity, I like to say, when it comes to, for example, my driving license is British, my passport is Italian, so people don't like it, they don't understand it. For example, in Dubai, they gave me a lot of hard time because my driving license doesn't match my passport. But on top of that, the UK people now don't care about my license anymore because I left the UK and I left my residency and I'm not British. The whole thing is designed for you to stick to a place, and be taxed on, I think. And as soon as you try and escape from that plan, it's a workout, right?
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is. You're a number. The moment you get born, you are registered as a number, and that number will bring in a lot of money to the government. I might sound now like this conspiracy theorist or whatever you think it is. That's not what I am. I am a revolutionist. I want this world to change into a decentralized world, a peaceful, anarchistic world where we as people get to decide how we live our lives. It's not that I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm just a revolutionist. I am here to live this free life. And I think that Bitcoin and blockchain are the perfect tools to create this beautiful, peaceful, anarchistic, decentralized situation where we as people again get to decide what we do with our lives. I don't want to be told to wear a face mask. I don't want to be treated as a baby, pampered by the government. I am wise and old enough to decide for myself what is healthy, what is not healthy. I don't want to have injections if I don't want to have injections. All that force control, it's all the power that they have because they are in control because we are using their currency. As long as we use their currency, they will stay in control. You use the dollars and the euros and your filthy bank accounts and all the coins on those bank accounts, they will stay in control. And I don't want that control. I want a decentralized future for my children, a peaceful, anarchistic future where my kids get to decide what is good and what is wrong, not other people. So, and I think Bitcoin and blockchain are the perfect tools. That's why my passion is so big about this industry. I'm not here to make a Lamborghini or two Lamborghinis or buy a big house. That's all not useful for me. I want to leave behind a beautiful future for my three daughters and any other family member that will come from those three daughters, and it will not be social credit, centralized banking, digital currency system. So we need to fight in a very peaceful way against that. And I think the most peaceful way to fight against it is what we are doing at the moment. Take all that money from their system, take all that money away and put it in our new system, our system. As long as we keep using their currencies, they will be in control. The moment we start to use our currencies, Bitcoin, we will take over. We will take back the power to the people. So for me, it's a peaceful revolution, nothing else.
I love this. Going all in Bitcoin is challenging as hell. I mean, how do you deal with volatility?
I don't see it as volatility. For me, if like it is only volatility if a small part of your capital is in Bitcoin, then you see it as volatility because you might be using that part to live your life or whatever. But we are all in. Our full capital is in Bitcoin, and we only use a small part of that capital every month to live. So as long as I can provide myself of that small part every month to live, then the rest, the huge part of that capital, can be as volatile as it is. It doesn't matter to me because I'm not using it. I know it's a 4 year cycle. I know we will see a bull market in 2025. I know we will see a bear market in 2026, 7. I know we will slowly crawl up in 2028 into a new bull market cycle, 2029, 2030, again, the bear market. These are pre-calculated mathematics into the Bitcoin blockchain. And as long there is more liquidity coming into the market, we will maintain that 4 year cycle. So there is no reason to freak out about the volatility on your capital because you can only see your capital growing. It's deflationary. The moment you're all in Bitcoin, you will see that your life is becoming more cheap every year. I can buy more and more groceries for my one Bitcoin every year again and again and again. And yes, then there is 1 year of those 4 years cycle, and that's the bear market, that it is a little bit volatile. But those other 3 years, it's just perfectly providing me of a deflationary asset that makes it possible for me to buy more and more and more for that same Bitcoin every time and again. And that's exactly what people don't understand. They are too emotional involved with that money while they because they don't trust Bitcoin. They don't trust the 4 year cycle. They don't trust. They still believe that we crash to zero. And the moment you lose that fear, not trusting Bitcoin, that's the moment you lose also the fear for the volatility. But that's the way that people also lost the fear for the volatility for the euro and dollar. It's like the most retarded thing that people still believe that the euro and the dollar are not volatile. They think that is stable. Yes, look, we have 10,000 euros on our bank account. Oh, look, and tomorrow it's still 10,000 euros. Hey, and next year, oh, look, it's still 10,000 euros. And 5 years later, look, it's still 10,000 euros. They don't see the volatility because the volatility is hidden into the products and the services they are buying in a daily manner. Those things are creating the volatility. Yeah, these fake numbers of coins that are being printed out of thin air that are shown on your bank account, no, those are not volatile. But you can buy less and less live quality for the same numbers. And that's exactly the opposite for Bitcoin. So for me, I don't see this volatility at all. For me, it's just a beautiful store of value that they can use as a peer-to-peer cash all over the world.
I love it. I mean, one Bitcoin equal one Bitcoin, right? So who cares about? I think the biggest coin is the dollar, like you said, which is destroying itself through time. If you think about the cost of everything, like you said, I remember we have pretty much the same age. I remember when I was a kid, I mean, first of all, we didn't have the euro. We have the Italian lira as much as in the Netherlands. You had a different currency, right? So, but you could have done so much more with the same amount of money. And now, like you said, if inflation is 10% a year, let's say, in 10 years, you've lost everything. I mean, yes, the number on the account is the same, but the power of purchasing or the purchasing power is next to nothing.
And even you and me, we are from the same age, from the same year. So we went on holiday. As a Dutch person, I had the Dutch gulden. We went on holiday to Italy, to Italian lira. We went to Spain, to the Spanish peseta. At that moment, we grew up with volatility. Sometimes 10 Dutch guilders gave me 1,500 pesetas, sometimes only 1,200 pesetas. It shifted all the time. So for me, I went there with my Dutch guilders. I bought them Spanish peseta. I lived from those Spanish pesetas. Then again, when I went home to the Netherlands, I exchanged those Spanish pesetas into my Dutch guilder because I treated that as my core capital. And what I'm doing now is exactly the same. It's just not the Dutch guilder, it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is my core capital. And sometimes I go to Thailand and I change a little bit Bitcoin into Thai baht and I use those Thai baht to live here. But when I go out of Thailand, I will be exchanging back to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is my core capital. Just like the Dutch guilder or for the Italian lira for you or the Spanish peseta for Spanish people was their core capital when they grew up. So for me, the whole volatility story is like, yeah, it's like nothing.
You touched on the 4 year cycles, and where do you think we are now in the market? Is it too late to jump in? Is it too early to join?
Of course, we are now still in the pre-phase of the bull market. I told all my community to go in between 15K and 20K. That was the perfect bottom area. It was very clear that was the bottom area. I can't even understand all those influencers that were shouting, we're going to go to 12K. That was like the same influencers were shouting at 3K that we would drop to 1K, in 2019. We're going to 1K. Nah, it's just some things are impossible because then the whole system would stop, because if the miners are not earning enough money, then we can't move on with Bitcoin. So the 12K level was impossible for me. So it's between 16 and 20K was a perfect bottom. Now it doubled already for most of my people that I guide in investing, of course, and at the moment we are around 40K. I believe in the halving, we will still be between 40 and 50K. So that's April 2024. Maybe we will see this one more peak now towards the end of December. Mostly we see this end of the year peak to 48K, maybe even a wick into 50K, to make us a little bit more excited. And then I think in January, normally we see this pullback. January, if you look back in all the cycles, January was always that correction month. So from 50K, maybe back even to 35K, like a 20% to 30% pullback. And then from there, build up again and towards the halving between 40 and 50K. I think we will see a new all-time high, meaning higher than 70K around September, October 2024. From there, again, small correction. And then I think 2025 will be at the end, the bull market top. And the bull market top for me should be above 100K. But I'm also always looking at the most bearish situation. And that if we are looking at the decreasing bull market growth, then we could also even end up just at 90K. So for me, all those possibilities are the possibilities. That's why I always dollar cost average out around the top. So I will start to dollar cost average around 70K, 80K, 90K, 100K, 110, 120. And all of this is, of course, if I look back into the 4 year cycle, the same way that we had a 4 year cycle now before that beautiful moment that we might be experiencing in January, that we will see an approval of the spot ETFs. That could change, of course, the bull market top. It could make a way higher blow off top because, yeah, a lot of liquidity is going into the market because all those institutional investors now are allowed to buy Bitcoin or to offer Bitcoin to their clients. That could lead to 5 to 6% of all that liquidity in that institutional market to go and to flow into Bitcoin. Because those people by now understand that Bitcoin is the gold of the 21st century. And from April 2024, Bitcoin will officially be even scarcer than gold. And all the rich people in the world, when they see this beautiful crisis or mayhem or blood on the streets ahead, they will start to hedge their capital into store of values like gold. And they will all be told now by their financial investors, oh, there's this new gold, Bitcoin, 21st century gold. You can move it a little bit more easy all over the world. It's completely legal now to buy with a spot ETF. Plus, it is way more scarce than the old gold. So we should allocate 10% of your capital now to Bitcoin. And then they will see their gains in 2024, 25. So these institutional investors in 24 will put in like 100K, for example. And then in the bull market 2025, 100K became 400K. And they will be, wow, this is the best investment ever, the best return of investment. Let's put more in Bitcoin. And then we can go even into the super cycle phase where people are like, okay, like maybe we don't see that bear market below 30K again. Let's keep pushing more of our capital in it because this gold is really transparent. We really can see it. We can really analyze it. We can really, understand there's only 21 million. It's like a hard cap, nobody can change that. Not Elon Musk that's going to fly into Mars to mine more physical gold. He can't mine more Bitcoin on Mars. So these institutional investors will start to understand that, and then they will start to play that game that they have always been playing in the traditional financial market, but then in the new digital market. Sorry, always talk too much.
No. This is amazing. This is awesome. By the way, I resonate so much with what you said. I agree 100%. The only variable I have in my mind is January 5th to January 10th, which is going to be the window to approve. I think the SEC will approve all of the 13 applications at the same time. They will not give anyone market advantage. And some people are saying, oh, it's priced in. And I'm like, guys, do you realize that when the door opens, money are going to flood in?
I think what is priced in is maybe the bullishness of the community. So yes, mindset-wise, a little bit priced in, but by far not as much priced in as that most people think. But liquidity-wise, it can't be priced in because the liquidity still needs to go into the market. And I think that people also need to be really prepared for this different type of bull cycle because a lot of people are buying a lot of alts. And of course, I always have my alt portfolio as well. I know my alt portfolio will probably outperform my Bitcoin portfolio. Like there's more alts going times 10 and 20 than there is Bitcoin going times 10 and 20. The chance is bigger for these alts. But if the spot ETF will be approved in January, and I agree with you, I think they all will be approved, then I think there will be a shift in this industry of people selling all their alt portfolio into Bitcoin because they don't want to miss out on that moonshot. The fear of missing out on that moonshot of Bitcoin will be that big that they will slowly start to sell their alts to buy a lot of Bitcoin to run that moonshot because of the liquidity coming into the market. And then at the end, when Bitcoin is like run out or arrives on the moon and going sideways, maybe they will go back into the alts. So I think the correlation between alts and Bitcoin could be, for the first time in the 4 year cycle, a little bit different than normally. But let's see, who am I?
No, I agree. And there is always a seasonality, right? Like the alt season happens only when Bitcoin pushes up and then your market goes up and people, they move their profit into alts. And there's always like a fountain of profits kind of thing. So I agree with you. I think if we if we see the ETF approved in January or somewhat next year, because I don't think the SEC is going to be able to push it further. They also lost the case in court. So I think they are cornered into a box, so they'll have to approve it. I think there is way too many. I mean, they even done an advertisement the other day pushing the ETF. So, I mean, I can see a lot of money coming in. And by the way, like you said, if you look into market cap of gold, what's 14 trillion, almost 13.7 trillion. If Bitcoin goes near that, it will be $500,000 per coin, right? And in order for Bitcoin to go to that number, you only need institutions to drop in 5%, 3%. There is a lot of capital, like old pension funds. There's a lot of money in the UAE as well, in Saudi. When the market is going to be more regulated, I think big money are going to play the game. And what we've seen so far until 2009 up to today, I think we've seen retail and some institutions, but small institutions playing with the asset. But I think the big money are going to change the game entirely. And I agree with you. I think also the diminishing in return has been shrinking. So I'm not expecting a 500,000 Bitcoin in 2025 unless the big money are coming in. But also equally, I think the drop is going to diminish. Like if we are going up to 90K or 100K, I don't think we will drop as bad as we've done previously. I mean, I think it's kind of stabilizing itself a little bit. So going from maybe a 90% drop almost all the way maybe to 60, 70% drop, I don't know. But I agree with you. I think the best you can do is dollar cost average, because you don't want to try and catch a falling knife, because you don't know, and you will miss the top and you will miss the bottom. Actually, most of the people, they sadly buy at the top and sell the bottom because of greed, right? So, or fear.
Always the market psychology that screws up the people's plans. Huh?
Exactly. So you mentioned altcoins. Do you have a strategy for alts? Like, do you divide your portfolio in chunks? For example, 50% Bitcoin, the other 50% in alts. How does it work in your mind?
For me, it's always 70-30. So 70% is always in Bitcoin, 30% is diversified among altcoins and like pre-sale investments and all that stuff. So for me, it's 70% is always Bitcoin. If I make profits, and of course we make profits every day, 70% is Bitcoin, 30% is allocated into alts. So for me, especially this bull market, because of the spot ETF, I'm not going to allocate more in alts than in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is going to front run everything at the moment. If the spot ETF will be approved and the liquidity will come into the market, the bullishness, the mindset, then Bitcoin will really propel to new heights. And I want to be in Bitcoin. It's for me the safest store of value out there at the moment. The altcoins are just a gameful play for me. You know, I love to support certain altcoins because they really decentralize the world, or certain projects because they decentralize the world. Some I invest in because I just love the fun of them. Like there's now this beautiful altcoin, meme coin, garbage. They just are making fun of all the governments and of all the politicians. I just love those kinds of altcoins. So we'll put a little bit of it in it, you know, but it's all meant to increase my Bitcoin portfolio. Because for me, it's still Bitcoin is king. Bitcoin is still the one that is the only complete decentralized one, and that really has the power to change the world in a bigger perspective than only materialistic.
Yeah, again, 100% aligned. I use alts to multiply my Bitcoin portfolio. The only difference is like I don't play with meme coins. I only have a bunch of projects, probably 4, not many. And I'm like you, 70-30. And on that 30%, half is Ethereum. And then the other half is maybe Chainlink or Cardano. Some of the projects I've been looking into for a bit, but I only use them to multiply my Bitcoin. And as more as I go forward in this market, the less I want to have those in my portfolio, to be honest, because they require you to stay in the market and trade them. And I don't trade. I hold, I buy and hold. So Bitcoin is no brainer.
Most of them are layer ones. A couple of them are AI. So I diversify into categories. Chainlink is one of my favorites as well, to be very honest. But I already bought Chainlink and Polkadot, for example, in the 2019-20 bear market. I told already everyone this is going to change the world. So I bought my bags already in that period of time. And I hold them all for long term. And what I said, just for the fun, now and then I will invest in these meme coins or tokens. It's just like normal people go sometimes to a casino. I had online casinos when I was younger, and I now prefer to place my bet on a beautiful picture of an ape or a monkey or whatever it is. Sometimes.
I was about to say the same thing. On the weekend you take $100, you go to the casino, whatever, you gamble it. If you lose them, who cares? Which is very different than all in into meme coins, right? And I think also depends on your age, your profile risk. Like if I was 20 years younger, I would probably be more aggressive in my portfolio strategy, but I got to a point where, I like to be more safe, hence why 70% also works for me. But designing the perfect portfolio, it's impossible. It depends on what you need. What's the best car? Well, it depends. Do you live in the jungle? Do you live in the city? Do you live in the desert? Do you live alone? Do you have a family? There is no such a thing as a best car. It depends on your needs, right? So having a portfolio is the same thing. What's your risk tolerance? How heavy do you want to go? How many years have you got ahead of you? Which is, I think it's important.
I think that's also very important. You're saying it in a really cool way. What car do you want to buy? You need to adapt your car to your lifestyle. That's why we are all in as a Bitcoin family. That's why my kids don't have bank accounts. They all have their Bitcoin portfolio and they all have their debit cards that they use. And of course, these crypto debit cards, but they are all in cryptocurrency because that is the asset, because I don't need to ask permission to take that currency into a new country or into a, out of an ATM machine or all that stuff. So I think more and more parents should start to lead by example and start to show their children the difference between a freedom peer-to-peer cash Bitcoin and a central bank's digital cash that will be forced upon the children by the banks, pretending to be a freedom cash, which it won't be. So I think parents need to take a very important step here to lead by example and show their kids the difference. That's the only thing in the industry that we have been doing completely wrong from the beginning. Because if you look to yourself, and all the people that are now watching this video, if you look to yourself, when did you go into the banking system? You went into the banking system because your parents or the bank gave you a piggy bank as a present and 25 euros on your bank account because you want to buy your own chewing gum or your own sneakers or whatever. That's when you were sucked into the banking system, when you were 12 or 13 years old. You want to have that piggy bank. And we are doing that completely wrong in the crypto industry. We should create dApps and beautiful projects that will suck the children into the crypto industry because the children have the future. Our focus should be mainly on those children. Children should open a Bitcoin wallet earlier than a bank account. That's why I tweeted about it a couple of days ago. I think we need to create a situation that is more easy for kids to open a Bitcoin wallet and use it worldwide than open a bank account. And when they start to integrate it in their lives, then from the next generation on, Bitcoin will be bigger than any bank account.
Yeah, I love it. Super well said. I can't stress enough the importance of knowing what is an asset, what is a liability. Robert Kiyosaki in Rich Dad, Poor Dad said it really well. It's one of my favorite books. It changed my life entirely. I thought for a very long time that a liability was an asset and vice versa. Once you realize what is an asset, well, then you want to use your coin, the dollar or the euro, to accumulate assets. The gap now in between rich and poor has never been this wide, right? I remember when I was younger, I could see one person working in the family, maybe a family of 3 or 4 people, only one was working and they could afford to buy a house, right? Now you have 2 people working and they can't afford to buy anything. So that means, like you said earlier, that means we are into a society which is designed to suck everything out of you. So the best you can do is to go all in Bitcoin and just escape that reality. Otherwise, you will struggle.
Completely agree.
What would you say to someone who's in December 2023 is about to jump into crypto? What would be your advice for them?
I would go all in at the moment between 35 and 40K. If we dip below 40K, I would go in. And if I would be in this situation at the moment, we are at a phase of the bull market. It's not certain that we go below 40K again. Definitely not below 30K. We could go below 40K and wick to 38K because there's a lot of liquidity around the 36 to 38K level. So you could be waiting till that level. But if I would be at the same cycle now, knowing all what I know now, that we probably go times 3, 4 from the halving, then I would again sell my house, again sell my cars, again sell my bikes, again sell everything else, go all in, go live on a beautiful island like Phuket, very cheaply for 1 or 2 years, although the bull market top. Exchange your bitcoins then into the stable coins. You will have quadrupled your capital in 2 years while you have been traveling the world with your family, finally enjoying your life instead of working and running the hamster wheel. And then, when you quadrupled your capital, look again what you want to do. Did you like those 2 years of traveling? Continue that lifestyle. Didn't you like it? Go back to the Netherlands or Italy or Spain, wherever you live, and buy you back a house of that capital that you gained, and you happily live a long life after. that is what my advice would be. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a long-haired dude with 3 beautiful daughters and a wife traveling the world already for 7 years, solely on cryptocurrency. But for me, these are the most exciting moments in crypto. There's two beautiful moments in cryptocurrencies for me. That it's from the halving to the bull market top. They will create a lot of capital, but also a lot of fun and a lot of adrenaline because everything is going up. And then the second favorite moment for me is when the bear market crashed all the way 60 to 70%, because that was the possibility to buy back my Bitcoins very cheaply again and pull the same trick again and run the next bull market. So for me, if I need to give advice to your followers at the moment, it's the worst advice ever. I would sell everything and go all in and go live on a tropical island till we see a new bull market all-time high.
I love it. I love it so much. And by the way, I will leave all the link in the comments down below. Your channel is amazing. I watch all your videos. I love the walk on the beach. The whole thing is designed to perfection. So thank you for producing amazing videos.
Thank you for having me on your channel. Thank you for watching the videos, and thank you for the compliment. And it was awesome to be here. And let's see that if everything that we talked about really is going to go play out again as it has always been played out, that would be awesome. We will meet again in like 2 years, in 2025, and talk again.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Dankjewel.
Bye-bye.
Bye.